Alaikum salam. So I'm more than happy to have input from all of you guys. So please do so. So today is our fourth lecture, I believe. So we have covered quite a bit, but we are still doing like the pre-Islamic era and what happened before, and like the preliminary lectures to the actual Seerah, which hopefully we will be able to start probably Allah Alam in one or two lectures. So um, so this is what we have covered up till now. We'll just quickly run through the slides. I'm not going to go into detail. So what were the benefits of the studying Seerah? There's lots and lots of them. We have talked about few of them that Allah has commanded us. It's an important way to increase our love for the Prophet. It helps to understand the Quran, because if we don't know the Seerah, we can't really understand what the Quran says, because it gives us the context. It raises our hopes. When we have some hard times, some trials, we read about Seerah and we know that the Prophet ﷺ has gone through much more harder trials than us. It gave us hopes that if he was able to withstand that and overcome those, we can do that as well. Seerah itself is a miracle. It lays out the precise method to revive the Ummah, and it's also gives us the insight into the best generation that was, which is the Sahaba. So by studying Seerah, we actually studying the lives of Sahaba as well. It also gives us kind of the tools to defend the honor of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, because we live in a society where there's a lot of things which are said, which are not true, which are all made up things about the Prophet. And if we don't know the Seerah, we can't really defend it. So to try and defend it in the best way we can, we need to learn the Seerah. So the sources of Seerah, so it's lots of Quran, Hadith, the actual Seerah books. The earliest and the most famous ones are Ibn Ishaq and Ibn Hisham. Everyone should know their names, but there's a lot of Seerah books which are taken, which of today's Seerah books, they are actually taken from Ibn Ishaq and Ibn Hisham, so they go back and use it as a reference book for themselves. Shama'il, Dalail, these are again the genres of the books. Shama'il are the books which is written on the characteristics of Prophet. Dalail are the book which have been written on the evidence of the prophethood. So that's the literal meaning of Dalail, but it talks about lots of miracles and things. So that's another genre of the books. And one of the famous Shama'il books, which probably all of you have heard about, is Shama'il Tirmizi. So that's one of the famous books. And Dalail, I think it's Imam Bayhaqi's book is the famous one for Dalail. Dalailun Nabuwa by al-Bayhaqi. So biographies of Sahaba, there are lots of people who have written the biographies of Sahaba, and we can actually collect information because they were living in the same time as the Prophet, and they were interacting with the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So by studying the biographies of the Sahaba, we can actually extract information about the Seerah itself. And then the histories of the cities, Makkah and Medina. There are books written on the histories of Makkah and Medina. We can look into those books and extract the information for the Seerah. Please stop me if I'm going too fast, but these are the things which we have already covered.
So start from where you stopped last week.
So, well, I could see some new faces. That's why I was actually just going through. I can't really keep going back. So yeah.
Every week you will see new faces.
So up till now we have actually various practices which were happening previously before the Islam came. And last week we talked about Hunafa, which are the people who were still rejecting idolatry, and there was some famous Hunafa which we talked about, Waraka ibn Nawfal and Uthman ibn al-Huwairith and Ubaydullah ibn Jahash and Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufay. And there's a hadith about Zayd, because he never accepted anything else. The rest of them, they went on to accept Christianity, most of them. But Zayd went to the Christians. He said, well, I don't think you have got the right books now. You have changed your religion, so I'm not accepting that. Then he went to Jews. Then he found out that they have changed their religion as well. So he said, I'm not accepting you as well. So he stayed on his own religion, basically. He said, I am going to directly worship Allah. I'm not going to follow any of you. And he rejected the mushrikeen as well. There's a hadith that his son, who's actually very famous Sahabi, Sa'd ibn Zayd, who is actually one of the Ashara Mubashiras, so one of the 10 elite Sahabas who were given the bashara of Jannah in their life. So he's one of those. So he asked Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that what happened to my father. He was a Hanif. He never worshipped any idols. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there's a hadith, Sahih hadith, that he will be resurrected as his own ummah. So he's one man ummah. So he's got an ummah who has got no prophet, because it's only him. So he will be resurrected on the day of judgment as one man ummah. And then when he went, Prophet ﷺ went to Isra al-Mi'raj, he came back and he was telling about the Isra and Mi'raj. One of the things he told, that I saw Zayd ibn Amr, and Allah has given him not one but 2 Jannahs. So he actually got 2 Jannahs.
Nothing left to us.
Sorry?
Nothing left for
No,
us.
yeah, nothing left for us, yes. He's got 2 of them, yes.
So who is the man who will be resurrected as a
Zayd.
nation himself?
Zayd.
Zayd
Ibn Amr, the
the
last one.
last one there. Zayd
Yeah,
ibn Amr.
Zayd ibn Amr.
Oh, so he is.
He's one of the Hanifs.
Yeah.
He's
And his son was a Sahaba.
Sahabi, because he never actually accepted Islam. He died before
Subhanallah.
before the
message of
Islam,
yeah.
before the Islam message of Islam started. So he died before that. But he rejected paganism, because he said, I am not going to worship idols, because this is not what Allah wants us, this is not right. And then he went on to find what is the true religion. So he ended up being with the Christians. When he studied Christianity, he said, well, I don't think you have changed your religion, so I'm not going to accept you as my religion. Then he went to study Judaism. And when he studied Judaism, he said, you have changed your religion as well, so I'm not going to accept you. Then he stayed what he was doing, just worshipping one Allah and not worshipping any idols. So he stayed Hanif, they were called as Hanif. And he died. Basically, he was on the religion of Ismail and Ibrahim, because they were the prophets, the last prophets for Arabs in Mecca. So he stayed on that religion, and then he died before the Prophet ﷺ actually got the message. But he will be resurrected as his own ummah. So then we were talking about so that's where we ended last week. So we are going to see what the status of the rest of the world was. We have talked about the Mecca. So the most important nations at that time were Romans and Sassanids. They were the 2 superpowers. So Romans, basically, they had Christianity. There are 3 main kind of divisions of Christianity from the very start. Gnosticism is the more mystical kind of Christianity. They were not really following the letter of the Christianity, not the law of the Christianity, but it was more kind of mystical interpretation of Christianity, which has gone away. So there is no more Gnostic Christians left. So we're not going to go into too much detail. Jewish Christians are the Christians who actually accepted what we know from Islam, what Christianity is, that it's the Prophet Isa alayhi salam, or Jesus. He came as a Messiah, and he was a Jew himself, and he followed the same religion, so he never changed the religion or the law, basically. So he was following the same law, which is the Old Testament. He never changed it. He just resurrected the Judaism which was there. So he actually reestablished the Torah. What we think as in Muslim, that's our belief. And those Christians were the same Christians. They were like the true Christians. And they were there initially, those were the Christians. They were there up till quite recently, actually. And some of those remnants of those Christianity is still found in Arabic countries to this day. But mostly it's been wiped out by Pauline Christianity or Pauline Christians. We'll talk about those in a little bit more detail. So Sassanids are the religion which actually, well, in fact, we will talk about them probably in a bit later. We will talk about the story of Salman al-Farsi, and we will talk about Sassanids in that one. So for first 2,000 years, almost 2,000 years, the Christians they were debating about who's Jesus, what is God, is Jesus the Son of God, about the Trinity and all of those things, and they actually never believed it to be true. So when Saint Paul came, he he said that he never saw the Christ, peace be upon him. He never saw Isa alayhi salam, so he was not one of his disciples. So he claims that he has seen him, he's seen the Jesus in his dream and learned about the Christianity in his dreams. So that's how he learned the Christianity. And he changed the whole thing about the Christianity, so he brought in the Trinity, and that we don't have to follow the Torah anymore, and all of those things which we see today. That was St. Paul who brought that in. Romans were pagans, basically, initially, and one of their emperors, Roman emperors, he actually accepted Christianity. And when he accepted Christianity, he made sure that all the Romans become Christians, and because he was the emperor, he was quite a loved one, people actually looked up to him, so he managed to convert all of his Romans into Christianity. Then there is a creed where he collected all the Christians, all the different Christianities, sat them together and said, well, look, you have to come up with one Christianity. I don't accept all of these different type of Christianity. And because he himself liked the Pauline Christianity, because he was from the paganistic background, so he liked having more than one God, and he could relate more to those kind of things, and having no law to follow. So he basically said, from today onwards, Pauline Christianity is going to be the official Christianity, and he killed the rest of them. So, and their followers, he brought the leaders of all the different type of Christianity, killed most of them, and the followers, they actually fled from the Rome, and they went on to start living into different pockets, and you can still find up till recently some remnants of those in different Arab countries. And we see the biggest story of that was of Salman al-Farsi, because he was going to the different priest to priest. They were actually on the actual religion, so that Christianity kind of carried on up till that time. We don't know if that has any more remnants left or not, because the last priest who saw Salman al-Farsi, and he said, as far as I know, I'm the last one on the original Christianity, and I don't know anyone who's actually believing in the true Christianity anymore. So you should go, and our books tell us that there is a new prophet who's coming, and you should go. And he gave Salman al-Farsi radiallahu anhu few signs to follow, and then he came and found Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So from that story, we know that there's probably not much left, but there are some books which have mentioned about some Christians who are living in some far-flung areas of Egypt and Morocco, which are still following that true Christianity. Allahu alam. I don't know, but it's been mentioned.
Probably no one in his area. Probably if you go far away,
Yeah.
North Africa or
Yeah,
Europe,
those-
the Bible
yeah.
is still some.
Yeah. So I mean, there are some news that there are still some Christians who are actually following that Christianity, but we don't know the full detail of that.
They either called Unitarian. Sometimes they call them Unitarian.
Yeah, because they don't believe in the Trinity. Yeah.
Unitarian.
And we know that from the Seerah itself, that when Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to not the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, but when the Muslims did the hijrah, they went to Habasha. So then when Ja'far radiallahu anhum, he kind of recited Surah Maryam in front of Habasha. So what did the Najashi said? That this is exactly what
we believe.
what believe in. So he believed in the same kind of he had the same belief as Muslims have. So that's why he accepted Islam and he accepted the Muslims and he kept them there. And the other story which we know of is of Heraclius, that when Prophet ﷺ sent a letter to Heraclius, I think it was 9th year of Hijrah, when he started sending letters, and one of the letters he sent to Heraclius, and Heraclius said, "Oh, do we have any of those Arabs here?" And lo and behold, Abu Sufyan was there. So he brought Abu Sufyan and the rest of the Quraysh, and he said Abu Sufyan to stand in front of them, and he told everybody behind him that if he starts lying, just nod to me that he's lying. So I started asking him questions that did Prophet's followers were poor or the rich, and they said poor, and then there's a whole list of questions. And in the end he said, yeah, this is the true Prophet, because whatever you told is the signs of the true Prophet. So he believed in he had the same belief as we have, so he was a true Christian as well. Although he didn't accept Islam because he liked his power more than the faith itself, so he never actually accepted Islam, but he knew what the real Christianity is. Yeah.
So obviously we believe in the books, and obviously the Bible is our perception of the original Bible is the book. Is the deviation at this St. Paul's period that we step away from true Christianity to this whole side to the Gospels, the New Testament, Old Testament,
Yeah.
Trinity? All these ideas are after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Pauline
So that's
is
the separation.
yeah. Paul is the person who actually invented all of that, and then people accepted that, and because Romans were the people who were in power, they were the superpowers.
They were the empire.
Yeah, they were the empire. So he made it an official religion of the Rome,
Yeah.
and then it just spread everywhere.
And that's when it obviously killed off the original
Yeah.
and moved on.
Yeah, and he actually in that creed, which is a very good name, which I can't remember at the moment. I'm trying to look for my notes to see if I can remember the note. But I will bring you the name. There is a time when he actually brought all the leaders of different sects,
They had
different
like
sects
a
of.
convention.
Yeah, means can't remember the name.
Iskandar.
Lyceum or something.
Iskandar in Iskandaria in Egypt.
Yeah, but
He
what
brought
was
all of them and they burned all the Bibles and
Yeah.
left four.
kept for which was the
Matthew,
Pauline
Luke,
ones.
and, Paul.
But there's a special name for that event, but I
Convention,
can't
yeah.
remember that. But I will remember, inshallah, bring it to you. So that's the Christianity. So what was happening with the Sassanids? So they were actually Zoroastrians. Zoroastrians were the worshippers of fire, and they have got one original fire which they consider to be sacred. So Zoroastrians and every time a new temple is being built, they have to actually take, so they can't just kind of light up a match and light a new fire. So they have to actually bring the fire from that original fire.
The Olympic.
Yeah, or like the Olympic. Yeah, so like the Olympic torch. And it has happened. So the people who have, there are Zoroastrians in America, and they actually, when they were asked, what did you do? So they actually hired a special plane, and they actually got the fire. They took a special permission from the government. They brought the fire from the original temple and made it into the, and that fire needs to kept on going. So they can't really have it put off at any time. So the fire needs to lit forever. And the original temple is still there, and every time a new temple is built, that fire needs to go from the original temple into that temple, and then they will keep that fire burning.
The original being in a secret location.
Oh no, it was in Sassanid, so
Right.
yeah, so Persia,
Okay.
yeah, so that's where that was, and still there.
How do they keep the, like you said they transport it, how do they keep it alive?
Yeah, so they look after it. They keep
Disguise.
they keep putting some wood or whatever
Like
they
the
need
pilots
to.
in your boiler.
Yeah, yeah. So they keep putting wood in or
Keep giving it
something.
fuel.
I mean, how do they transport?
How they transport? They take a little piece of that fire, some coal from that fire, and then transport it.
The coals of the actual fire when it's burning.
Yeah, so they will keep it adding more things to keep it burning. So they can't get the fire get killed at any stage. So that
while,
needs,
So while they're flying, they just have a burning fire on. the
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
yeah, basically.
Contained in a way.
Yeah. So, and I mean, there are lots of Zoroastrians in Indo-Pakistan as well, or they were Zoroastrians. Lots of them have converted, and we know them as Parsis. And that Parsi, because that was the Faras, or the Iran was the place where they came from. And from Faras, when they came to Pakistan, the Faras became Paras, and then we made them into Parsis. So, but we have got lots of Zoroastrians there as well. Most of them have either converted into Christianity or Islam, or some of them taken up even Hinduism as well. But they are Parsis. They're big. So there's a so Salman al-Farsi, radiallahu anhu, he was from Isfahan, and he tells his own story. Isfahan in Persia itself, and his father was the priest or the imam or whatever you want to call it in one of the temples where this fire was lit, and he was the caretaker of the fire, and he kept the fire going. He had a farm or estate with some land where he sent Salman al-Farsi to go and do some jobs over there and then come back. And on his way, he heard a priest in a cave, in a monastery, and a monk, a Christian monk. He was praying and he was doing his own ibadah, and he really liked it. And he went in and he sat there and he listened to what he was saying, and then he went on to do his chore, came back, he was still doing that, so he sat back again and started listening. And then when he finished, Salman al-Farsi asked him, what was that? He told him about the Christianity, about one God, about the whole faith of Christianity, which the true Christianity. And he really liked that. He said, well, that seems like actually what the true belief is. But he was a Majus or a Zoroastrian. But he started having doubts about his own religion, and he got more and more interested. He spent more time. He actually spent too much time with him that he actually got late in going back to his father. He knew that his father would be waiting, but he kind of made an excuse and told him that something came up and I couldn't come back. He learned Christianity, and then he became a Christian. So he accepted Christianity. So he came back, and he told his father that this is what he was saying, and I really liked it, and I'm a follower of Christ now, so I'm a Christian. So his father locked him up at that, because he is the big imam of the Zoroastrians, so he can't really have his son change to a different religion. So he locked him up, started beating him up, and told him that you are not going to have anything to eat and drink unless you say that you are converting back to the Zoroastrianism. Um, he somehow managed to send a message to the monk, Salman al-Farsi, while he was captivated and was locked, that if any caravan is going to where I can be free and worship Allah as the true, on the true faith, can you please let me know? So if any caravan is passing, just let me know. So when the monk found that there is a caravan who is going to a different land, he sent a message to Salman al-Farsi that there is a caravan which is leaving and you can leave with them. So Salman al-Farsi somehow managed to escape from the prison which their father was keeping.
How did he was locked up? How did
Yeah, so I don't know the details, but somehow he managed to escape. He must have stolen the key from his father or something. I don't know the details. But he managed to escape and went to the caravan, and the caravan took him to another monastery, another monk, where he stayed with him. He kept studying Christianity with him. When he was about to die, he sent him to another monk. He said, well, I'm about to die, and that is the person which I know who is on the true Christianity, so you should go to him. So he went to the third one, and lo and behold, after going from a monk to monk, he was with another monk who said, I'm about to die. I know that my time is up, but I don't know any more Christians who are on the true religion. So I can't really send you to any more Christians who are actually worshipping the true religion of Christianity. So, but we know that there is a new messenger who is about to come, and so he gave him some signs. So what are the signs? That he will come in the land of dates. So that was one sign. So that's where you have to go and find him. And then he will have three signs. One is that if you take him a charity, if you take a sadaqah to him, he won't eat from the sadaqah. He will accept it, but he won't eat it from it. He will probably give it to his companions. If you take him and give him a gift, he will eat from it and he will distribute it. So that's the second sign. And the third sign is that he will have a seal of prophethood on his back. So that's the three signs you have to look for. So Salman al-Farsi managed to get himself enslaved. So look at the hardship and his eagerness to find the true religion. He managed to make himself a slave to get to Medina or to get to Arab basically. But when he came, so some of the Jews enslaved him, and they brought him, and he went into, and I think he came to Medina, but I don't think he managed to get into Medina itself. He was in Khaybar, so the Jew was in Khaybar and he was a slave there. And he stayed there with him, working, waiting for the Prophet. Then he heard that the Prophet has come when Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina. And one day, after finishing his work, he wanted to go to test him, so with all the signs which he had. So first day, he brought some dates, gave it to Prophet ﷺ and said, this is sadaqah, this is charity. So, and then he waited for him to see what he does. So he distributed it to all the companions, basically the poor ones. He never eat any from that set of dates himself. So one take. So the next day he brought some more dates, gave it to Prophet ﷺ and said, this is a gift, Ya Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he had something from those gifts, dates himself, and then distributed the rest into the companions. So another take. And then the third one was that the seal of the prophethood. How would he see the seal of prophethood? So he kept staying behind him, walking behind him, kept trying to peek, and he couldn't see it. And obviously Allah told Prophet ﷺ, and Jibreel must have come and told him that there is somebody who's trying. So the Prophet ﷺ just lowered his upper garment just to show him the seal. What the seal is, basically, it is just the protrusion of the skin behind his shoulder blade. Says that the size of a pigeon's egg, and it has some colored hairs on it. So that's what the seal of prophethood was. So he saw the seal of prophethood, and then he accepted Islam. He told the whole story, and then we know that he still had the debt to for that Jew master, and Prophet ﷺ helped him get out of the debt, and then he moved into Medina and became the Sahabi we know all of. And anybody can remember what's the most famous thing he did?
The date, sort of, I don't know, orchard or whatever you call it.
Yeah, that was how he got out of them.
Okay.
But
That's
when
the
he
one-
became the Muslim,
Maulana Abdul Hadi kept mentioning it.
Yeah,
We were
yeah,
leaving Medina,
yeah.
so he kept saying
yeah. So when he became the Muslim, there is the big things. I can give you an example. It's one of the battles.
Yeah,
He suggested
He's just suggested the moat,
the digging, yeah.
the moat, digging of the moat, the Khandak. So he was the one, because he was from Persia, and so he had that knowledge of using the moat or the Khandak from that. This is this kind of we're talking about actually still on the pre-Islamic. So this is what the state of the people were before the Islam came. So the benefits of studying what we have studied up till now. So there's a hadith which says that Allah sent Prophet Muhammad in the darkest hour. Hadith says, "My Lord has commanded me to teach you that which you were ignorant of, and Allah looked at the whole world, and He despised everyone, except for some remnants of the people of the book, which we know from the story." So because the whole world was gone astray, and nobody was actually following the right path, so as a sunnah of Allah, Allah sent Prophet Muhammad to guide them back to the right path. And that's what we learn from what the pre-Islamic Arabia and the rest of the world was. So they were all just paganistic, and the ones who were actually saying themselves as Christian or Jews, they have left the true religion as well, and they have gone a bit astray as well. So the other thing is that the guidance only comes from Allah and not from our intellect or philosophy, because there was no prophet sent for 2,000 years between Ismail alayhi salam and before the prophet, in between Ismail and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was about 2,000 years, and nobody could actually find the true religion. And like I'm talking about, we have some examples of those Hanifs and which were actually looking for the religion, but again Allah guided them. When people started thinking themselves what the true thing is, what the right thing is. Sorry.
You know, with the Torah,
Yeah.
you were saying that it had changed.
Yeah.
Who actually changed that book?
The people
The
of
people
Torah.
themselves.
Yeah, like the Christians changed their Injil.
Yeah, like St. Paul.
Yeah.
So was it an actual person that changed that, or was it a group of people?
A group of people slowly.
Oh, they did it over time.
Over time. So slowly. I mean, the Jews have been actually really nasty people, because
I think the translation is a bit.
this So it says وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّوكَ